The pass is right there between the two motors.
In the last episode, we finally escaped the pass of Maupiti and sailed 1200 miles to Samoa. The weather was pretty rough.
2 reefs in the main now and the Solent. We just did that, or mainly did that, to reduce our speed a bit so we could stick together. Well, these guys kept us awake as the wind was turning, first to 130 and then back to 90. Yeah.
We are actually the second boat that goes into Samoa in 3 years' time.
I'm just filming crazy because the boat is kind of boring.
But it was a beautiful island. We did a day trip over the island and the people were extremely nice there. The first thing we visited when we were going over the island was the house of the author of Treasure Island. There's a statue in his garden. It's the king and his son, actually. So the story about it is that the son wanted to stop the cannibalism that still existed on the island. It's a little bit over 100 years ago. On the other side of the island there were some interesting holes and caves. Also the coastline was very, very beautiful. And then we tried to find a place to have a lunch, but we stopped at 3 different resorts, but everything was still closed. It's a little bit sad to see that there's nobody there. There has not been anybody there for a couple of years in a row. People are very religious on the island. There was a very impressive choir in one of the churches.
It's a cave. It goes all the way in there.
And then?
And if you come the other way, you see the lights. They're celebrating 60-year Brexit over here.
Yeah.
And then we see Waza again. They also end up in Samoa. They made a stop on Beveridge Reef. That's a deserted place somewhere in the middle of the ocean. It's also the place where Nop Nop stopped because they had a non-working autopilot. And then Paul, he made a repair of the autopilot. So I hope Nop Nop will make it until Fiji with a functioning autopilot.
Ja, wappie wappie.
In Samoa, the checking in process is pretty difficult. Customs comes on board and they are opening up all the cupboards and checking the whole boat. We have to bring them to the boats that are on anchor, so Mark took 3 of them, but in the weekend we went with the ferry to the other island and stayed for 2 nights in a resort and celebrated my birthday there.
She did it.
With a little bit of help from Dominique, he was the only one up early.
Whoa, there we go. Zeros there for anyone wants one of those. Happy birthday to you. Manu yellow masafana. Manu yellow masafana. Manu yellow masafana.
The birthday lady.
Oh wow, you spelled my name correct!
It's quite simple. It's there will be as from tomorrow will be a little bit.
Is het nou kleiner dan die vorige die we hadden?
Nee, het is dezelfde. Ja.
It is very windy at the moment and the waves are between 4 and 5 meters. So we decide to wait another day and wait until the waves drop to 3.5 meters and the wind drops to 20 knots. Then we will have a nice trip on Friday to go to Wallace. Inky's Janiker is completely twisted around the torsion cable and we try to get it loose, but it's just too difficult and there's too much wind. So we have to do another try in Wallace. Okay, there it is. Now you can take the tension off, Catherine, and now we are going to furl and unfurl.
Yeah, like that much.
The last night in Samoa we have a nice dinner with Loli and Inky, and then the next morning we will start in the dark and then we will go in the direction of Wallace.